The Chelsea Area Chamber of Commerce is not taking a position on any legal or constitutional matters discussed during this forum. And as I spoke, questions have been submitted in advance and they have been submitted tonight. That time now is closed for submitting questions. Questions were reviewed by the moderator, which is me, Mike Providence. And duplicate questions, I just explained that cultural and anything that was the same we get away with. Candidates will each receive equal time to answer their questions. Limited rebuttals may be allowed at the moderator's discretion if a candidate is directly referenced by another candidate. And at this time, we will start right here with you, Mr. Andrews. We're going to start here and go down and have each candidate give you 2 minutes for your opening statement to whatever you want to speak about.
Hello, can everybody hear me? Hey, my name is Darren Andrews. Appreciate everybody coming tonight. That's pretty room full. A little bit about me. I started out this deal. I've been in this type of business all my life. I've worked construction, one form or another, since the day I was 18 years old. Started out being a shovel hand, worked my way up, managed water districts. I've run construction companies, I've run crews, drove trucks, run about any piece of equipment you can find on the face of the earth. This is a job that is so important to everybody in this room. This is the most impactful probably position in the county. So stop and have a big, deep thought when we get ready to vote June 16th. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you to the Chelsea Chamber for allowing us the opportunity to be here. My name is Duane Beamer and I'm running for Rogers County Commissioner District 1. I have 48 years in the construction field. I'm certified and trained. Community emergency response team. I've managed a crew of over 30 men and $3 million in budgets. I've worked for the last 9 years for the Rogers County District 2 Hulagal Barn, assisting with laying asphalt, chip sealing, tree and brush removal, boom axing, shredding, preventing pre-treating for snow and ice, setting up work zones, flagging for work zones, and the safety of the crew is my most important. Last 5 years, I've been working with District 4 on the road striping crew. We have painted over 600 miles throughout the entire county. I'm running for county commissioner because I believe District 1 deserves leadership that is practical, accountable, and focused on results. Our county government should work for the people, maintaining roads and bridges, responsibly managing their dollars wisely, and supporting strong and communities where businesses can grow and families can thrive. As commissioner, I will focus on improving infrastructure, being transparent with county spending, and making every decision is made with taxpayers' best interests in mind. I understand the importance of supporting local economic growth while preserving the values and the way of life that makes Rogers County special. I also believe in
30 seconds.
Also believe that communication matters. The people of District 1 deserve a commissioner who listens and accessible and works together with city leaders, business owners, and residents to solve problems. This campaign is about service, responsibility, and building a stronger future for Rogers County. I'd be honored for your support on your vote on June 16th.
You guys hear me okay? Perfect. All right, my name is Lane Brown. I'm 20 years old. I graduated from Ulaga Talala Public Schools, so across the pond, I would like to say across the lake. I got into this race, I would say, close to the beginning of the year, a little bit after or before the new year. Specifically, well, I say specifically, but it's true. Project Mustang is a mile outside of where I live. And you guys may think we're in Chelsea, that's in Claremont, what does that have to do? Well, I'll just tell you what it has to do. they're going everywhere and anywhere that they can get a foothold to steal taxpayer dollars. That's basically what this is a scheme. So what I want to do is I just want to bring transparency and accountability back to this office. I'm the only candidate in this race that has promised to do 2 terms in 8 years. That's all I want to do. I don't want to make a career out of this, and I want to go back to the private sector. And look, I'm the only candidate in this race to also promise that on day one, I'm not going to be a part of the pension or retirement benefit. I'm going to decline that on day one. This isn't about a retirement gig to me. This is about putting the taxpayers back in charge. So I look forward to answering all your guys' questions. Thank you. I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I want to thank the city, Chelsea Chamber of Commerce for hosting the event. My name is Kenny Breshears. I've been a lifelong resident of Rogers County District 1. After graduating high school, I went to work for the city of Claremore Street Department. I worked there for about 1.5 years. While I was working there, I attended night classes at RSU and my basic EMT license. Whenever I left the city of Claremore, I went to work for the Rogers County District 3, and I worked there about 6.5 years. While I was working at District 3 is when I realized the importance of having a good county commissioner and how impactful a county commissioner can be. And that's when I decided I wanted to run for county commissioner whenever I was working there. In 2010, I went to work for CF Industries, and I've been there ever since. The first 7 years at CF Industries, I worked a rotating shift work from days to nights. Day position became available, and I've been doing that job for the last 9 years. We oversee one of the areas out there, and in that area, I'm responsible for 49 guys, training, qualifications, and testing, and making sure they're all up to date on everything. Responsible for multi-million-dollar pieces of equipment in that area and making sure everything's kept up in working order. Have to do long-term planning and capital projects. We got projects right now looking all the way out to 2029, and it's a $3 million project. We got projects right now that should be done by the end of this year. It's a $700,000 project, adding office spaces and kitchen and bathrooms in the area. Hopefully I get to see that through before the end of this year. While in this position I'm in right now, I have to work with several different departments. I got to work with operations, I got to work with maintenance, I got to work with the accounting team and procurement. And I think that's really what a commissioner does on a day in, day out basis. They have to work with several different entities, the other commissioners, the other city officials, and all your schools. And I've been doing that the last 9 years very successfully, and I want to continue to do that as your county commissioner. Some boards that I currently sit on:
2 minutes.
I'm on the Supply Youth Football Association board. I'm on the Supply Public School Foundation. I'm on the EHS Advisory Board at CF Industries. Some of the volunteer work I've done: Booster Club for basketball, softball, and football. I've been sponsors at Fall Street. And I was a volunteer fireman for 10 years at Trice Fire Department.
Hi, my name is Squeak. I'm running for Rogers County Commissioner District 1. I got over 30 decades of public service. I started with the Recreation and Tourism Department. I worked there, then I moved to District 1. I had 24 years with District 1. I did everything. I started mowing the grass there. I transitioned into bridge foreman, where we built 9 bridges, pretty unique structure. Also, tons of little stuff under that. Then I transitioned to the road foreman, where I was over 30 guys, worked with multiple contractors on road construction projects, bid multi-million-dollar projects, and run all that. The reason I'm running for county commissioner is a deep passion for me. I just think I can really serve and make a difference. So, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, gentlemen. As you've heard from them, I'm Mike Province. I'll be your moderator this evening. Lived here in Chelsea since 2000. I was mayor of Chelsea for 10.5 years. Love this community, love this county, love my district. Now, gentlemen, we're going to go over it one more time. 90 seconds to answer. Anything that you call out another candidate on, they get a 30-second rebuttal. Are we clear on everything, gentlemen?
Yes.
I have a sign to let you know 30 seconds.
First question. This time we're going to start from the far end and come down on this first question. If you need me to repeat the question, feel free to ask me to repeat the question. How would you balance infrastructure needs with limited county resources?
Well, with infrastructure needs, it all has to be on a plan. You need at least a 6 or 8 month plan, if not longer. And that you go from major stuff to minor stuff. Some of it's basic, some of it you do every year. You know, some brush cutting and mowing the ditches is an all-time deal that has to be figured in with all that. But the bigger projects sometimes has to wait a couple of years before you can actually do them. You have to save the money, or you don't get tons of money at one time. The way the county's done anymore, you get monthly instead of yearly. So you just kind of weigh that out, and it's all in planning. You have to have good planning. You have to come out. You have to put the people that knows how to do the jobs in the right places at the right time to be able to do that.
Yes. How would you balance infrastructure needs with limited county resources?
So you're gonna have to definitely plan. You know, a lot of roads may last 10, 50 years, so you just need to have a cycle for these certain roads that are gonna come up, and you gotta have a plan for all that. You got your day-to-day stuff, like you said, your mowing, your patching, your brush work, but having a good plan and having to do all the roads that are the most traveled is gonna be the ones that's gonna take priority. That just is the way that's gonna work. I think I think the way that we balance infrastructure with limited resources is we just be smart. We rely on the experts that we have in the county barn. We create a plan, and just like he said, whatever roads are the most driven on are the roads that need to take priority. The ones that aren't, then we wait. We save the money, and I think that's how you limit or you balance between infrastructure and resources.
Once again, the planning is the key to the operation of all that. I believe in having a rainy day fund. Stuck with a severe storm that we have to respond to, that it washes a road out that was unplanned. So there has to be money set back constantly to maintain and secure emergency road repairs when needed. So the infrastructure goes along with the planning, having the rainy day fund of some sort available.
I don't know how to explain this. In my mind, when you look at infrastructure, you look at resources. Your budget determines exactly how much money you're allowed to spend for the calendar year. You got to look at public safety first. How does this affect the most people? Who is most likely going to get hurt, and how do we keep those folks from getting hurt? When you get the major concern, the major public safety out of the way, then you can start figuring out which roads and which bridges and which infrastructure, then you can use those resources for. The whole time you got to be doing this, in the back of your mind, you've got to figure out, how do we up the resources? How do we take bad money and quit spending it? We take the good money and put it in the proper places that get the most bang for your buck. Thank you, Joe.
The next question. What would success look like to you after your first term in office? We'll start with Mr. Brown.
I think the first step to success is when constituents reach out to you, you actually respond to your constituents. When they email or call you, you call them back. And then we work on. I'm a big proponent of. I think that this job is just more than roads and bridges. That's what my platform is. That's what my campaign is about. I think that the first step is stopping any and all green energy scam in year one, and first term in office. The green energy scam, we don't want that here. You may want that here, but I don't want that here, and hundreds of people on the doorstep don't want that here. It's wasteful money, it's a scam. So on day one, success would look like to me would be responding to constituents, saving money for taxpayers, and fighting back against the green energy scam.
Same question you, Mr. Breshears.
I would say success would look like being able to keep a balanced budget the entire 4 years, being able to touch every road. My plan would be to I don't want to have any potholes in any of the roads. That should be unacceptable. Have any potholes, we can patch them. We can do whatever we got to do to keep at least keep the roads patched, the ditches and the right of ways cleared back. And I know nobody really likes boom action because it doesn't look that great, but that's just the best and fastest and easiest way to do it with the resource. But touching all those areas and getting the water drainage fixed properly, and then we can work on surfacing all the miles of roads we can. I'm a big proponent of asphalt. I want to try to get as much asphalt done every year as we can. I don't know what that number looks like. It, like I said, just depends on the funds and how much everything keeps going up. But obviously, if I got elected, real success would look like is if when your term was over, nobody ran against you that next term.
Same question, Mr. Beamer.
I believe that making a plan, working through your plan, if your constituents are happy with the work you've done for the previous 4 years, you will not draw an opponent for the second 4 years. Having the ability to maintain roads and be accountable to the constituents is exactly what I'm here for.
Same question, Mr. Andrews.
So I'm probably gonna measure things a little different. I'm probably gonna measure things on how many times the phone in my pocket rings. Because I don't figure that many of the ones before me, I'll say us, that had this job, they don't get many pats on the back. I just don't see that happening much from general citizens. So I really figure the way you're gonna measure success is how many times does your phone ring? How many complaints in a day, week, and hour are you receiving? When those complaints go to literally nothing, then you have got the general public probably as happy as you're ever going to be able to make them. You're never going to make every citizen happy. But when those complaints and those drop down to a level that is tolerable, I feel like there's some success in that matter. And that's the only way I think you're ever going to be able to measure it.
Same question, Mr. Noland.
So the first year success to me looks like setting your program up to follow the next 3 years. You know, you have to have a big plan. This is not you don't see success quick. It comes in long terms. When you do this like I have for this many years, you understand that a lot of your planning is not 6 months. It's a year and 6 months. So to do that, stay within your budget, and your guys have to be extremely good. I mean, they have to come to work. They want to be to work. They want to be there. Success is all boiled down to a whole system, and it's a whole basket of things that comes together. And when it does, it's an easy plan. Everything runs the way it's supposed to. Your people don't complain. They don't call in as much. You get the storms cleaned up as quick as possible. You know, our snowstorms and ice storms are sometimes devastating to Rogers County. In some areas, get neglected, and they shouldn't. So just the main safety overall and the happiness of the community, and that's what I see as success.
Thank you.
Next question. Rogers County continues to grow rapidly. How should the county prepare for the future growth and development? Start this out with Mr. Breshears.
So as far as economical growth and being prepared for it, Rogers County does have a plan already in place, but in my opinion, in my mind, when industries come in, they need to be in the industrial parks. And once those industrial parks get full, then we need to look at other areas. And whenever we zone those areas for industrial, we need to do a light zoning. That's not way, it's not the highest intensity right off the bat. That way, whenever a new industry wants to come in, and maybe one that we may or may not want, we may have to vote on zoning it if we really want that. When we build housing additions in our area, I'm not a huge fan for little bitty quarter-acre lots coming out this way. Those need to be closer to town. You need to talk to your schools. Can your schools handle all these housing additions getting in? Are we going to have, do they have the housing for all these kids in these schools? Or are they going to have 30 kids? So you need to work with all your schools. You need to work with your water departments to make sure we're not overloading the water, because we don't want to have to go on water rationing. There's a lot to it, and industry needs to be built up and down the highways and in some industrial parks.
Same question, Mr. Noland.
Well, I'm not for countywide zoning at all. I think that if you do a total countywide zoning, you end up cutting the rights of the landowner. Infrastructure has to be built, and you need to improve. You have to grow as a county, but also there's a line somewhere that you have to stop, and it has to quit growing outwards. You keep it all in confined and in spaces. Housing conditions are always going to come up. They're always going to be there. You just have to work with that. And we're a growing community, and we're always going to be growing. We're the fifth in the state. And at some point, it will just encroach on. And you just have to try to stand on that line and hold it for as long as you possibly can.
Same question, Mr. Andrews.
So the big decision to me when you look at economic growth, you start out with what infrastructure is there today. You've got to look at what you want to build and what's there. You can't what group will load count on a road that's not capable of handling. You can't take and build quarter-acre lots in a place that's got 120 acres of pavement all the way around it and expect the landowners not to extremely just cut you off. You've got to put the development where the developments belong in the county. There are certain areas that are going to grow. I don't think you can stop that. I think you encourage the growth in the county, but you've got to do it responsibly. You've got to do it about what infrastructure is there.
Same question, Mr. Beamer.
Having folks moving from the north and the west to our fabulous state and trying to take up real estate, it's already going to happen, and it's going to continue to happen because they're trying to get away from another issue. We have to stay ahead of that by continuing, as it was stated, to increase your water demands and help with the infrastructure for water and electric, getting to those areas before it's too late. And I know they have moratoriums on water permits, and certain water departments, they can't make permits if the water's not there. So some of those actions are already in place. So they withhold and have limits to what's already available. I just hope people don't buy property and then they can't get water and electric. So they need to do the research beforehand that water and electric is available before they purchase a property.
Same question.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest issues in Rogers County is overdevelopment. I think that we are growing as a county, which is good, but we have to be smart with our growth. We don't want to bring people into our county that don't have our best interests at heart. For the people that have built their lives in this county, built their families in this community, and most importantly, built their businesses here. So we always, any decision making when it comes to development, we want to have the best interests of the taxpayers that already live here, that have already built businesses and families here. So yeah, I think one of the biggest issues is overdevelopment, and we as a county have to stand strong and make sure that when we are approving these permits or zoning, that it's a smart decision for the people that already live here.
Thank you. Commissioners oversee purchasing and contracts for county projects. What steps would you take to ensure accountability and transparency in that process? Start with you, Mr. Andrews.
So anytime that you step out and you start taking contracts, you start taking bids, it all needs to be transparent and exposed to the property, to the public, about what this costs and why I'm buying this, what I'm going to spend on it, what I'm going to And I think if you can't justify one of the three, you have a hard time justifying to the public why you're doing such things with contracts. If it's buying equipment, if it's specing equipment, you've got to talk to the guys that are running that equipment and figure out what do they need in a piece of equipment to make that contract, to make that piece of equipment be right to that contract.
Same question, Mr. Noland.
Repeat that question real quick.
Commissioners overseeing purchasing and contracts for county projects. What steps would you take to ensure accountability and transparency in that process?
Well, on the contract side, when you contract something, it's pretty public anyway, but as far as any questions, you should always be open for these questions. You know, the contracting side comes a lot with the road work, bridges and stuff like that. And at any moment, I think a citizen into the office and ask questions about it if they want. You know, it's all public information. It's posted all the time. It's whenever you're buying equipment, make sure that the wear on the equipment is don't wear out where you don't get nothing in return, and you can actually move on and get a higher profit from getting that return on that equipment. You know, if you're trading it in with 250,000 miles on it, you're probably not going to get the same as if you trade it in 150,000 miles. So as far as the equipment part of it goes, you need to know and base yourself on when to get rid of it and when to keep it.
Same question, Mr. Brown.
Yeah, I think when it comes to contracts, we need to be transparent, which I think most contracts are. I mean, they're posted publicly, but if I'm elected, no one tied to me or no one tied to an office will win the contract bidding. That's when you start a good old boy system. That's when you start corruption. So none of that. But when it comes to purchasing equipment, I would just go to my experts and that work at the county barn that drive and operate this equipment every single day. And ask them what they need. Yeah.
Same question, Mr. Beamer.
Having the ability to look at contracts and have knowledge of the equipment, as it was said, knowing what your crew needs, knowing what the barn needs to work with and work for, giving the opportunity that the right equipment is purchased for the right job. Full transparency. If I'm ever asked why something is being done, you will get an honest, positive answer once.
Same question, Mr. Breshears.
So I think the county's doing what they need to do now. I've started watching all the commissioner board meetings. You can watch on Facebook every Monday or Tuesday if it's a holiday. I watched them open sealed bids the other day. They have no idea what the bids are. They open the vanilla envelope and they start reading the bids, and you go from there. So I think the systems that's in place right now will just continue doing. You may not have known that, but you can watch that anytime you want, and they just go for bids. They got to get as many bids as they can. I thought I heard them say the other day they put like 30 or 40 bids out on something. They only got 3 back. So as a commissioner, you just have to go with what bid you got back and open it up and go with the lowest bid. And it's all transparent and open for you. So I think the systems that are in place is the ones that we'll continue to do as far as bids and contracts.
Thank you, gentlemen. Commissioners often work with municipalities, tribal governments, state agencies, and community organizations. How would you approach building or keeping those relationships? Start with you, Mr. Brown.
Yeah, I think working with the other local governments, especially tribal leaders, is important because they are here. The tribal leaders work really well with us. So we just got to maintain those relationships. When it comes to the city of Claremore is an interesting topic. They're probably not very big fans of me, which I don't care. But working with them is important. So if I get elected, I'm going to have to work with them no matter what. But I think it's important we just maintain the level of professional and work together. I think, we're all in this to help the taxpayers and help the community members. And so whatever needs to be done to maintain those relationships, I absolutely will.
Same question, Mr. Breshears.
Can you repeat that?
Yes, sir. Commissioners often work with municipalities, tribal governments, state agencies, and community organizations. How would you approach building and keeping those relationships?
Well, I kind of hit on this on my introductory. I have to work with a bunch of different entities where I work now. It's very good to have a good relationship. And you guys, we don't always agree on everything that we do, but at the end of the day, we all work together, we find common ground. And that's what you got to do when working with all the municipalities and everybody, all the Indian government and everybody you have to work with. You may not agree on everything, but we got to find common ground and work for you guys.
Same question, Mr. Noland.
So, like I said, I've been involved in county work for 24 years, and Mr. Delozier and Jerry Payne both kept a great relationship with the Indian organizations. They go out for grants, they get them all the time. You know, the way it works right now and the way the system is and the way everybody is involved with the schools, and, you know, District 1 has always done a lot for Foyle, you know, Sequoia. And I think the system is really good. I think it should just be carried on the way it is.
Same question, Mr. Andrews.
It's a pretty firm belief of mine that without camaraderie, without friends, without business relationships, and without associates, and being able to distinguish the difference between them. So I don't have to be what I call friends with anybody that works in any of the other entities, whether it be the tribal or the city or whoever. But if you can't be business associates and sit down at a table and have an adult conversation with anybody from those respective groups, then you're on an island by yourself. When you get on an island by yourself, you're going to drown. You're going to be in trouble. So you've got to be able to sit down with anybody, like them or not, friend, associate, business partner. You've got to be able to sit down and have an adult conversation.
Same question, Mr. Payne.
Continuing the response and the ability to talk with all of the municipalities, the tribes, the schools, local cities. We have to continue that. It has worked for numbers of years. As Mr. Andrews just said, being able to talk to somebody, you may not like it, but it's in the best interest of this district and this county to continue to support each other throughout all of our endeavors.
Thank you, gentlemen. Next question. Commissioners nowadays need to be well versed in business. It's like running a business. What qualifications, or if any, do you have in regards to running a business or understanding budgets? We will start with Mr. Noland.
I was a bridge foreman and road foreman for over 15 years. So as far as the budgeting and stuff like that, I didn't actually do the budgeting. I was gave a number to stay within, and that's what I had to work with. So when it comes to that side of it, you know, there's a lot of money. Rogers County has tons of money that you have to deal with all the time, and it's something I don't think that any one of us has dealt with. You know, you get into the county and you get elected as commissioner, and it's all brand new when you walk in that courthouse. So it's a learning curve, and it will be a process to learn things like that.
Same question, Mr. Brown.
So like I said in my introduction, I'm 20, so obviously I haven't had the opportunity to build a business in this community. But what I will say is when it comes to budgets, I will rely on the experts that we already have that work for the county to make sure that we're within a balanced budget. Look, we have a treasurer for the county that we elect every 4 years. And so we'll rely on the guy that we elect to make sure that we stay within a well-maintained budget and make sure that everything that we're doing is very transparent.
Same question, Mr. Andrews.
A lot of years ago, I've managed water districts. The budget wasn't quite as big as what the county has now. 25 years ago, $5 million was a lot of money. As far as businesses, I've managed a couple of construction companies, been handed the books of one construction company and said, here, I'm going out of state for 3 months, see you when I get back. Had no idea what they've done for a job. This is truly trial by fire. Step into this and you make the best decision with the best advisors you can find. Nobody knows it all. I'll be the first to admit, I don't know it all. Not everyone know it all, don't want to know it all. But I'm smart enough to realize that when I'm in over my head, I find somebody to hand me a life jacket. And if I need another one, I call 2 or 3 people with life jackets. So it's not above any of it. So, thank you.
Same question, Mr. Breshears.
So as far as budgets go, every year I've got to write some requisitions, and we got to, they ends up being over a couple $2 million that we got to write requisitions for, and that comes from planning from the previous years on how we're going to allocate this money out. So I'm used to doing that part of it, and you just got work orders and everything that's attached to all that, and you got to make sure the money gets appropriated where it's supposed to, and then you got to reconcile your money pretty often to make sure you're not overspending and staying within budget. I've been fortunate in this job that I've been in that I've been a part of $30 million turnarounds, special projects where I work. This last turnaround we did was a $70 million. Not that I'm over all that or anything, but the numbers being where I've been working it's astronomical. If you never worked out there, it's crazy the money we spend and the money you're around. So that's not going to be intimidating with any money or any budget or anything. And I think that the easiest way to manage a budget is going to be the wheel's already there. You can already manage and see what they've done in the past and just continue that and then tweak it here and there the way that you want it.
Same question, Mr. Beamer.
Having the ability to work on the budget, I've had the opportunity personally to oversee a $3 million budget over 3 years and worked on 56 different locations at the same time. It all came in on time and on budget. I know that's nowhere close to Rogers County budget projected to be 19 million next year. But when you start breaking it out and 4.6 million of that goes to the sheriff's office. There's several means in place that the assessor, the court clerk, and the treasurer all work with our budget. And they feed money and information to the county. They feed information to the commissioners to respond on the money that is provided. So the budget is pre-made with the assistance of outside sources.
Thank you. Question that we got the most of. What are your thoughts on the proposed data center project in Rogers County? Start with you, Mr. Breshears.
Okay, so my thoughts on the data center. I haven't been to every meeting, but I have watched every meeting. I think that data center should be built in industrial parks and not have to be rezoned. This is where this one got built. And everything that I've researched, everything that I've watched, everything that I've seen, it seems like a pretty good deal. I'm sorry for the people and the families that live close to the industrial park, but it's been zoned that way for a long time. That's why if I was elected county commissioner, when I said something about if we do new industrial parks, you zone them lightly. That way it's not high intensity. That way not just anything can get built there. But this was already zoned for that, didn't require rezoning. I wouldn't have been for rezoning of a data center.
Same question, Mr. Beamer.
Having all the controversy right, wrong, indifferent about the data center in an industrial park, that is the exact place it should be if it has to be built. That's the only place that it should be built. Me personally, I'm not in favor of data center, but will it help every one of us get on our smartphone and play tic-tac-toe or do whatever activity we do on our smartphone or our tablet? Will it help the education area? Possibly. I want to echo what Mr. Breshears said. I deeply, and sorry for the people that are impacted that live around that area. They didn't choose that, but they have the opportunity that they can change and do whatever they'd like to do. But I'm against it, but for it to be in the industrial planned area.
Same question, Mr. Brown.
So I'm against Project Mustang, full stop. On day one, propose a moratorium to delay the construction of the project. Look, this isn't a good deal for us at all. We're paying $250 million, or they're paying $250 million in lieu payments to taxing entities in the county. Look, we gave them a 25-year tax payment. That means we're missing out on $1 billion of tax dollars that would be going, that they would be legally supposed to pay. That's not a good deal for this county. It's not a good deal for Claremore. And I think it's sad that as a government, we have to say, well, screw those people that the data center is being built by. That's not fair to them. They did not choose that. They've lived there their whole lives. They purchased that home. And now, guess what? Their property values are going to be decreased. They're going to be living next to a massive economic development project. And so it was just a stupid place to put it. This is a stupid place to bring it based on how many people are showing up saying they don't want this. So I think as a government, when people come to you and they say they don't want something, guess what? It's common sense probably not to pass that. I feel like that's just, unless I'm crazy. So look, like I said, it's not a good deal. We're missing out on over $1 billion in property taxes that they should be paying for us. They're a multi-billion-dollar corporation. You're telling me they can't pay that? That's insane to me. So no, it's not a good deal for us. And I'm the only one that's got a plan to at least propose a plan to stop it. So thank you.
Same question, Mr. Noland.
Favor for the data centers, but it's completely different reasons. A footprint that big and this technology, what's it going to be in 25 years? Will it even be there? I'd rather see an industry come in that has 1,000 jobs. Then you got a rotating tax base. Not only do you get what they get off of the data center, but you got families that's generational with stuff like that. You know, this data center, what I've seen about it, I mean, it's a money cow for Claremore. Absolutely. I don't blame them one bit for doing it. But it's just not something industrial-wise that I would like to see come into the county. You know, if you can produce 500,000 jobs, they go buy gas, they come back, they buy houses, they move in. You know, they're always on that rotating tax base on top of the incentives that you're getting from that structure. So the data center, no, I'm not in favor of it.
Same question, Mr. Andrews.
Well, as I've stated before, and I'm going to state it again, I've got a way different probably opinion than most people have. I think the city has done a horrible job as far as PR presenting this to the public. I do not agree with the way it was done. When you talk to some of the officials at Claremore, the growth that some of the other businesses are having in that industrial park, you don't need another industry with 1,000 jobs coming in there because you don't have enough people in the county to employ them all. They're looking at right now, just rough numbers, they're looking at 1,000 jobs in the next 4 years just in that industrial park. That's not even counting what the data center's coming in. Put something in there that is, if it's built the way the project is planned, is as far as it's environmentally probably not much worse than anything else that's going to go in there. There are a lot of worse things that you could find to put back in the back of that industrial park. It's going to back up those people's houses. Whether it's a data center or another AXH, they're not going to be happy with anything you put in there. Like I said, I don't agree with the way it was done, but I do agree with the project. Thank you.
Next question is, what is one issue that you believe deserves more attention in Rogers County? Start with you, Mr. Noland.
The one issue probably is for a county commissioner anyway, will just be a controlled maintenance program where somebody can call me and say, hey, are you going to be over here in the next 5 years? And if you have a program set up to where it's based and you know you're going to be in this area for 6 months and this area for 6 months, then you'll have a controlled system that people can actually call and want to know why you haven't been there, where have you been, and understanding and openness between all the elected officials with the public. That seems to be the biggest thing I hear when I'm walking doors, is they don't feel like they're being heard. And I think that's an easy fix. You just have to be heard.
Same question, Mr. Andrews.
So I think that this question kind of goes back to one we answered a little while ago about the telephone. I'm a real big proponent of when somebody calls, somebody emails, that they get an answer. I realize that, as any of us are probably going to find out, it's very, very difficult to answer everyone. But you've got other employees, you've got help, you've got road foremen, you've got other employees that can help respond back to these systems. I think public communication, either through transparency, through just flat talking to people, I think communication with the public is something that needs to be addressed.
Same question, Mr. Breshears.
So, I mean, I've lived in this district, in this county my entire life. I guess I'm probably too easygoing. I don't see any glaring issues or any major problems. I am hearing, yeah, I wish there was more transparency, but I guarantee if you went and asked or went and talked to somebody, you'd probably get the answers you wanted. I mean, I'm learning more and more and more just by getting involved more and watching these county commissioner meetings and stuff. So I think everything's out there. You just got to know where to find it. So that's all I got.
Same question, Mr. Beamer.
I believe from day one, make a plan and work your plan. Having the opportunity to have an open door. If somebody has been talked about, telephone and communication and email, yes, you have staff that can help answer everyday questions. But as for the citizens of District 1 in Rogers County, I will always be available at any time to answer questions. I'm in favor of a town hall meeting. That if we need to conduct meetings like this in local communities to find out issues that aren't making it to the barn, people can complain about multiple issues and never step up and pick up the phone and call and say, hey, my bar ditches needs to be cleaned out. So having the ability to have separate town hall meetings and full transparency, if somebody wants to look at books or looks at any information, my door will always be open to all the citizens of Rogers County.
Same question, Mr. Brown.
Yeah, I think the biggest concern I hear on the doorstep is transparency. People just want someone who's a steward to the taxpayer. And I think all these guys up here, if elected, would do that job and be a steward to the taxpayer, which means when they want something done, then we look at it and, you know, if it's a good thing for the county, then we do it. And I would like to pivot off of what he said. I was really going to say the same thing. As county commissioner, I want monthly meetings where we're meeting with members in the community to be as transparent as possible.
Next question is, what role should the county play in supporting public safety services? Start with you, Mr. Andrews.
So the county has a major responsibility. You're first in line. When the storms roll in, when the ice rolls in, you've got first responders, don't get me wrong. But your county guys, you're going to be the ones that are there. You're going to be the ones that everybody says, why haven't they plowed my road? Why haven't they cleaned the ice off my driveway? you have got to make community safety number one. Because when you go home at night, you lay down in bed, I'm not gonna have it on my conscience that I didn't do something that day to make sure that somebody wasn't safe at the end of the process. If there's something I can do to prevent somebody from having a wreck, prevent somebody from having to get killed, it's my job to do that. There is no other way around.
Same question, Mr. Beamer.
When I started and kicked off my campaign last May, my first goal was to make sure that all the citizens of Rogers County go to work and they're able to come home safely. Being able to work hand in hand with all of our first responders and all of our community staff, everybody across the board. Personal safety is my utmost personal responsibility for every citizen in this county. Yes, I'll have sleepless nights. Not that I sleep much now, but having the ability to answer the call when the call comes in. You know, a few years ago, the citizens of Claremore were in a handicap. They had a bad ice storm. Police department and the sheriff didn't have very many four-wheel drive vehicles, so they started commandeering county vehicles to make service calls. So we work hand in hand with all of our first responders.
Same question, Mr. Brown.
Yeah, I think public safety is super important. I think it's one of the main priorities of this job is to make sure that the public is safe. So I'm going to piggyback on what all these guys says. I don't think that there is a wrong answer, but every answer that they've given is, you know, we just want the citizens to be safe, work with our first responders. You know, that's part of the job.
Same question, Mr. Breshears.
I think public safety should be priority one. I volunteered at the fire department for 10 years because I believe in helping people and being there when people need you. I'm still on the ERT team where I work. I'm going to continue to do that. We need to make sure we have a rainy day fund set aside for emergencies, because you never know when an ice storm happens, a tornado happens. We'll work 24/7 until any emergency is over with and done with to help the residents get back on their feet. You'll never have to wonder where we're at. You're going to see us.
Same question, Mr. Noland.
Public safety should be, and has been, and has always been the number one priority of the commissioner. The ice storm in 2006 and 2007 was astronomical in this part of the country. It took us 2 weeks to get some of the roads cleared where they could even go out and get food. So yeah, it's a major role in this job, and to be able to do it, know how to do it, and respond to it in a timely manner is the biggest thing. You know, sometimes you get complaints, we didn't get here, we didn't get there. That's a part of it. You can't get over 460 miles with 12 guys in just a little while. So public safety is giant, and it always needs to be giant, and it needs to be at the forefront.
Next question. If elected, what would be your top priority during your first year in office? Your top priority. We will start with you, Mr. Brown.
Being a steward to the taxpayer. I'm just going to go back on what I said. I think that this job is, you're supposed to be transparent. You're supposed to do what the community wants. And most importantly, you're just supposed to do it in an utmost professional way. You know, no corruption ties, none of that. So on day one, my first term, my top priorities are obviously is to strive for our roads to be perfect. Obviously, we want that. You guys pay for that. I think that's important. Obviously, we're not going to have perfect roads. You know, we live in Oklahoma. You know, that's just the standard. So, you know, but also stopping the green energy scam. I don't want to keep piggybacking on this, but it's super important that we stop that. So on my first term, I think those are my top two priorities. I know you said one.
Same question, Mr. Noland.
So the first year is to just get a clean budget, make everything happen right. Hopefully we don't have giant snowstorms to keep everything clear. But the highest on the priority is the people, understanding what they want, what they think they're doing. You know, if they bring issues to you, and as the doors I knock, I get to hear some of these issues. They're pretty minor, really. I think it's been done real well over the last 25 years. You know, we took care of basically everybody, and the major storms, safety is always going to be at the top of the list. So just to accomplish something that makes our citizens proud of the county would be my goal.
Same question, Mr. Beamer.
I might have a little bit of advantage. Currently being employed at District 2, and through the summer I'm at District 4, which we house our paint truck at District 1. So day one, nothing changes. I would show up and the barn would go to work just like they did the day before, the week before, the month before. And we would continue that process the next week, the next month, the next year. That process will not have to change because of administration change. So the skilled and talented guys that are running District 1 now, they're guaranteed to be there day one.
Same question, Mr. Breshears.
Okay, so for me, day one, I like to know what everything is I got. So there'll be a full audit of all the equipment and all the money and everything. That way I know from day one what I'm starting with and what I have, and make sure everything's accounted for. Not much is going to change. Like you said, you got the guys that work there. They're not going nowhere. We're going to continue to have a game plan and fix the roads, and clean the right-of-ways and everything like that. But you're probably going to get sick of seeing me going up and down the roads, because I'm going to drive to every inch of these roads a lot for the first year, so I can really come up with a good master plan for the following years to make sure we do everything the right way.
Mr. Andrews. Yeah, I was like.
So at year one, or let's just start at day one. When you walk in at day one, even as well as everything's been took care of over the last 20 years, somebody's going to set a plate of fire in front of you and expect everything fixed today. Because they're going to think, new commissioner, I want my road fixed now. So you're going to have to figure out how to put all these fires out today. As you get those fires put out, it's going to come to the top. What's the most important? What plans do they already have in place? You look at what they've designed, what they've got scheduled for the next 6 months. And you take the very top, you take the best of all of those plans and you continue them. You take little edges that might be a little rough, or places you can see, hey, if we tweak this just a little bit, we might get a little efficiency out of this. Or if we do this just a little different, can we trim a little off of the top and save a little money here? So the first year is purely going to be measured by how much you can accomplish with a new set of guys that don't have any idea who you are. So that's going to be how you do it.
Okay, gentlemen, this will be the final question. You will now have 3 minutes with this final question and your closing remarks for the people. This final question is, it's simple. Why should voters choose you to represent District 1? Start with Mr. Brown.
Yeah, so obviously, like I said, I'm 20. I graduated from Ulaga last year. You're probably looking at me and wondering why in the actual, hell did I do this? I did this because I'm sick and tired of the complacency in this county. I think for the last 20 years, I was born in 2006. That's when Mr. Delozier took office. Thank him for his service. He did 20 years to this county. That's respectable, and I have no complaints against that. But what I think we need to look at is, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Are you better off than you were 8 years ago? And if you are, then I'm probably not your candidate, and that's totally okay. I'm not mad at you. I don't hate you for it. If I get in there, I'm still going to fight for you. So I just think, as we look at this race, all these guys are tremendous guys. They all want to strive to be the best for the community. So like I said, I'm the outsider in this race. I don't have any ties to anyone in the county or the city or really anything around here. I've lived here my whole life for 20 years. My family lives here for 30 years. So, you know, I'm just a new guy that thought I was going to throw my name on a ballot, and I'm going to knock a ton of doors and try to fix things that I think need to be fixed in this county. Whether you trust me or not, that's okay. Like I said, I still respect you. I'm going to keep knocking doors and keep coming to events like this because I think they're super important. So thank you.
Same question, Mr. Beamer.
When I first chose to step in and be your candidate, it took a lot of soul searching and probably 12 months before I made the decision that I would run as your candidate for county commissioner. At that time, I decided that I would not take outside funds. I completely supported my campaign out of my own pocket. I have not asked for donations and I have not received donations. So I'm not beholden to any one person or any one group. I'm beholden to the citizens of Rogers County. And to this day, I have not and will not take outside funding from anybody other than myself. So as the reason why, I have 48 years experience in the construction field. I've lived in District 1 for 41 years, raised my family here. Wife and I have made a fabulous home. So I love to be part of Rogers County. My heart is with community service. Whatever group it is, Little League, youth sports, Boy Scouts of America. That runs very deep, and I'm very honored to be able to be involved with those groups and have been involved with those. So putting community first, citizens first, that's my utmost goal, that I would be honored to be your next county commissioner for District 1 on June 16th. Thank you all very much.
Same question, Mr. Breshears.
So I appreciate your support on June 16th, and I've been wanting to do this ever since I worked for the county. This is something I've wanted to do it's been 20 years now. And I've done things, I may not have worked at the county for the last 15, 16 years, but I've done things and tried to keep in touch with everything in the county and in the community to keep me ready for this. And I think that a lot of what I've done over the last 9 years, managing people, managing budgets, and being able to work well with others, has really got me to a point where I can really work well for you guys in the community. As your commissioner, I really plan to be, like I said, I've been here my whole life. I plan to be a continuation of the previous 3 commissioners that's been there over my lifespan. They've done a great job. If you've been here your whole life, you know how good a job and how well things have been. And I really want to continue that. And I will not let you down, I promise you that. I may not know everything, and I may not be the best at everything, but I promise you, I'll work everybody to be the best and be there for you guys. I'm going to commit to safety, being transparent. I'm going to listen to the community, and I'm going to be a good steward of taxpayers' dollars. And I truly believe whoever you vote for needs to have the heart of a servant, and I believe that I do have that, and I know I have that. I appreciate your vote on June 16th.
Same question, Mr. Andrews.
You know, I'm just gonna say, y'all have a really, really tough decision. These guys sitting up here, I give every one of them props. Takes a lot of nerve to go down there and put your name on the line and pay the bills and fill out the paperwork. There's a lot of diversity up here. There's a lot of all of our ideals, how each one of us think, how each one of us want to do things, whether we think it's been done right in the past or whether we think it's been done horrible in the past. You all have to make that decision as to who you want to pick to be the face of your county. Not only are we the leader of the courthouse, we help do the budget, we help build the roads, we help build the bridges, but it's the guy that when you think, and everybody thinks, county commissioner is usually the leader of your community. So I don't feel, I mean, I really feel empty for every one of you having to go to the ballot box June 16th. I'm pretty grateful my vote's pretty easy. Thank you. I mean, this is really a diverse group of guys. It really is. There's a lot of differences in it. Stand around and visit with every one of us. When you get ready to go, walk by and pick that stuff off the tables and support any one of us or all of us. Because all of us have spent a tremendous amount of time to be up in front of you. And to come up here and answer these questions off cuff. None of us have known anything that we've been presented with tonight. So it has all been a good deal. I really would appreciate your support. Thank you.
Same question, Mr. Noland.
I have 30 years of public service. I've worked for different bosses and under all kinds of, construction crews. But it is a true passion for me to serve the public. It has been since I was a kid. And it'll continue, win or lose. I'll always be in this field. I am now, and I'll continue to be that way. I have the experience, the leadership skills, and I can take the county into the future. I really appreciate your vote on June 16th.
I'd like to thank each one of you for being here this evening and participating. I'll go with what Mr. Andrews said. It's a tough decision. It's a tough one. And it's tough for you all to sit up here and answer all these questions. And I do truly appreciate it. And so do the citizens of this county. Appreciate you taking your time to do that for us. And I want to thank everyone who attended tonight. We encourage all of you to stay informed, stay involved, and most importantly, remember to vote. Thank you.
No, it's fine. My daughter's crying about something. How are you?